Folks, welcome back to the Bullet Points pregame show. I'm your host, Ty B, joined by Mike Bunt and Kevin Masari. Tonight, the UB Bulls at 6-5 will be hosting Mike Bunt's Bobcats tonight in Alumni Arena. The previous two games postponed quickly because of COVID, like last minute. The guys are ready to go almost like right before warm-ups. Kev, how are you feeling going in this one? The team's getting back out there on the floor.
I mean, you're just happy to see some basketball on the MAC. I mean, I had my doubts how many games they'd even get in with this thing, but it does seem like they'll be able to get in at least a majority of the season. They kind of snuck in that EMU game. So we'll see how many of these games they can sneak back in with Akron and a couple of those other games getting postponed. So, excited to have it. If we get over 500 ball, I'll be happy. So, looking forward to just really being where they are in the MAC, I guess, for both teams.
Yep, absolutely. The Bulls are going to be fighting to get a nice seed there and get that trip to Cleveland. No 5 through 12 play-ins this year, but Bunt, they're taking on your Ohio Bobcats tonight. Give us a little preview of this team, obviously led by Jason Preston.
Yeah, I'm excited for tonight. These are my two favorite schools, and I always hate when they battle, but I think we have a good matchup today. Going into this year, I thought Ohio would be one of the top 4 or 5 teams in the MAC. They've been pretty up and down, mediocre at times. They almost upset Illinois earlier in the season on the road, but then they've also had some struggles of late. I think right now they're starting to play some good basketball. But that said, this game being at UB, I think the Bulls are a slight favorite. But whoever really wins this game, I think will have a good win to try to build some momentum off of. Because I think right now you're looking at two squads that are really, honestly, pretty evenly matched. I really don't think you can say one team is better than the other at this point of the season.
Absolutely. And the Bulls played one of their most impressive games in their last time out together, a 92-77 win over Eastern Michigan, in which they had 27 assists, the most assists since the 2017-2018 season. That also leads the MAC so far this year for the most in a game. That's exactly what you need to see from this Bulls team, passing the ball to create shots. They're not the best, three-point shooting team, but it creates opportunities going to the rack, getting offensive rebounds, and finding the quick open man after everyone's collapsed. They've been doing a great job of it, and I think that's really been the reason they've won games. And when they're not doing it, it's why they're losing, Kev.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty straightforward how they're playing basketball. If they play the ISO ball, we've seen at times and stretches in this season. If they're gunning and running and gunning, kind of the Nate Oates style of past, they're struggling. I mean, if they're not putting the ball in Segu's hands, making good decisions, moving the ball around, Javon getting up big rebounds, they're struggling. We don't know what's happening with Graves and his 3-point shooting right now, and his all-around field goal percentage, but he is contributing elsewhere. He's contributing on the boards. He's contributing with a really good play around, pretty much all the other stat categories. He's increased except for that ability, his shooting ability, which is weird. So we're hoping that increases here as soon as even tonight. If you look at Ohio, I mean, they're a team that relies on Jason Preston, who missed a couple of games, and they did not look good without him. Dwight Wilson's a good name that they got in here. Ben Vanderplas, every UB fan should know a little bit about him, as he, beat UB, basically by himself last time out last season. And then, they have a couple of good contributors in Roderick and McDay that get the job done. As we know, Ohio's usually never deep. In recent Ohio history, they do have some top-heavy players that are pretty good at basketball, but they're not deep. You need to get them into their rotation. You need to get them into foul trouble. You have Dwight Wilson and Jason Preston and Ben Roderick and players shooting about 50% or better. It's kind of a little different for UB when they're struggling to shoot the ball at times. Not in that EMU game, but pretty much in games past. And one thing to watch out for is 3 out of 4 losses by BG. A team that beat UB twice. It hasn't happened since 2010. They just lost to Miami of Ohio. Those were bad losses for the team. They needed to split that series, and they'd be in pretty good shape right now. They cannot afford to lose to Ohio because they're one of the teams that they haven't played yet, guys. And they just with the record against the Kent loss, and you add in the 2 BG losses. They can't get on the wrong foot against Ohio. They cannot be 0-4 against those teams, and that's with Akron and Toledo as well at the top. So they need this one, and they need to separate themselves. It has to happen tonight.
Oh, absolutely. And it's going to be a very, very fun, entertaining basketball game. Both these teams average over 80 points. UB leads the MAC in scoring, and they're right. Ohio's right up there with them in the top 5, just over 80 points per. But where do you see this game going? You think this is just going to be an absolute shootout?
That'd be my guess. I think both of these teams, they like to light up the scoreboard. That's when they're playing their best ball. And to just add on to about Ohio, last year when we talked about this Bobcats team, it was basically a 2-man team. It was Ben Vanderplas and Jason Preston. And Preston they both had to carry the load. And if they didn't, that team, they couldn't win games. Preston had a triple-double recently. But what's been impressive about this Ohio team is they have 6 scorers that average 9.8 points a game or more. So they essentially have 6 double-digit scorers right now. Obviously, Vanderplas and Preston are still the 2 stars, but Dwight Wilson is a big that really gives the Bobcats another guy down low that can score, rebound. Roderick McDay are two players that are sophomores that we knew a little bit about last year, but they have a freshman right now that had a 20-point game, 21-point game in his last performance, Mark Sears, who's really starting to take over. So the Bobcats they're starting to get some younger talent emerging. I think if you're UB, you just got to stick with the big shots. Let Nathan take over. He's one of the best athletes in the league. Have Segu go off. I'm with Kev. I don't know what's going on with Graves. He's been struggling with the shot this year. But if you're UB, I think if this goes over 80 points, you feel good about your chances of winning.
Yeah, we've seen great output too from Josh and Bala, even LaQuill Harden. And in that last game, I think he had like 13 points in the first half, something like that. Very efficient score down low. And both those guys do a great job getting those offensive rebounds, and they're able to finish on the way going right back up with it. I think that's where, if you're the Bulls, you're going to have to look to attack this team, because your 3-point shooting, as we've seen, is not always there. It can be. They've done it like once all year where they really had a great 3-point shooting night, but besides that, it's been tough, Kev.
It's no doubt. And I think the biggest advantage UB has going forward in this specific game is 294th is the number to watch out for, and that's Ohio's rank when rebounds, 33.5. Even with their additions, a couple of the additions that Mike mentioned, most notably Dwight Wilson, a guy from JMU, 15-point scorer, pretty much a double-double guy, 7.5 rebounds a game. I don't anticipate very good defense in this game. The numbers would prove that. And if Ohio's not able to rebound the ball, that's how BG won. I mean, that's how BG beat UB. They were able to rebound the ball better than they are average-wise. And they did what UB does best and used it against them. UB's still number 1 in the country in rebounds. If they rebound the ball well tonight with their misses that they will have, UB's in a good shape. I mean, once again, that's over 12 rebounds more per game that UB averages. That's like having a free 2 players on the court rebounding, because that's about the totals for a pretty decent rebounder per game. So those are things to watch out for. That's UB's advantage. And I think Ohio did a great job bringing in Dwight Wilson from JMU, and as well as Mark Sears. I mean, that's plus for them. UB struggled at recruiting. I mean, let's call it what it is, guys. They've struggled. They don't have the additions that Ohio just had made to their 2-man rotation. If UB had those 2 players, they'd probably be the top of the MAC right now. But they struck out, and it's so credit to Ohio for hitting those transfers and hitting that freshman. UB struggled at freshman, guys. They've struggled to find freshman players. They've been okay with transfers. They've struggled with freshman basketball players right now this season.
Absolutely. We have seen Skogman getting into the mix a little bit more, which is nice. You could see he's got a bit of a 3-point shot, can do the stuff down low still. But you're absolutely right. You have the issues that have gone on with Chance Robinson. We know what's going on, a little bit with Malik Zachary there too. There's just a ton of craziness and chaos around, bringing these guys in and not getting out onto the court. And then when they do, it's not what we expect. And you'd love this team and some of these recruits to really perform early on and to show some growth as well.
Yeah, you missed Galleon, Savion Galleon. You've missed on a couple of those names in there that they just couldn't miss on. And unfortunately, I've liked what I've seen. I'm a Skogman fan. I like what he could bring to the table. Not getting the minutes, and not really sure what that's about. But Mike, I mean, I know you're pretty passionate about them needing to get some contributions from players that aren't their big, call big three or big four, right?
Yeah, UB definitely needs to add some more depth, and for whatever reason, they've gone after players that were decent names or come from decent programs that just haven't worked out. And you're seeing a lot of that across college basketball right now. Bonaventure just had 3 players transferred this season alone. They just lost Anthony Roberts, who was at Kent State, and then went to Bona. They lost a 4-star sophomore. So, I mean, part of it's on Weitzel. Part of it is just a lot of these recruits, you just don't know what to expect, as my dog walks near me. But one thing I do want to one thing I do want to add quick, too, about this game, both of these squads have struggled against the top teams in the MAC so far. UB got swept by Bowling Green. Ohio lost to Bowling Green. Ohio struggled against Toledo. They got whipped by Akron. So both of these teams, they really need a marquee MAC win to show where they are. They're both going to Cleveland. The bottom 4 in the MAC is awful right now. But this could be a battle of, are you going to finish with a 6, 7, 8 seed, or are you going to finish with maybe a 3, 4, 5 seed? If you want to win in Cleveland, you got to hope that you end up at least in the middle of the pack. Because if you're playing Kent State, if you're playing Bowling Green or Akron in the first round, the way that these two teams have played so far this season, their run in Cleveland will be over pretty quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. You need to get to that 4 seed. You're right. Yeah, I mean, you need to really work hard for it.
Absolutely, and that brings us right into some game predictions here. Kev, you want to start it off? You think the Bulls can bring this one home?
This is a tough prediction for me because I like what Ohio's doing. I think they've struggled as much as UB, though, in their fairness, and I think that rebounding edge at home. If this was in Ohio tonight, I'm not going to lie, I would probably go Ohio in this specific basketball game. I do think that travel, I do think that's enough. It's tough playing on the road in quiet gyms. UB fans know that, losing to NIU in years past, losing to EMU, losing to Ohio. They lose these games. I do think that will be a good edge. Team has played better at home under Weitzel this season than they have in years past. Maybe it has to do with, I'm not sure. But I do have UB going 86, Ohio 80. That's a score that I've been sticking with. I think they cover. I do think they win this specific game, but I do believe these teams will split 1-1. So that's kind of where I'm at all around with the UB Ohio series.
Yeah, Bunt, what do you got?
Me and Kev, we're normally totally in agreement with a lot of this stuff. I think these two squads split this year. I got UB winning 82-79 today. My big reason is just I think they're going to get off to a good start. And I think in matchup of these two teams, whoever gets off to a good start is going to have the advantage just because I don't think either squad is really that great when it gets to crunch time. So I think you're going to see Jonathan really ball out today, and I think the Bulls will get a win.
Absolutely. Would love a big Bulls win here. I think they have the firepower to get it done. It's going to be tough having not played a lot of consistent basketball, but we saw a lot of growth in their game over the past few games that they did play. I'd like them to continue that high scoring number. Give me 88-82 Bulls victory. Ohio makes it close late, so we have to grip our teeth, but I think they're going to be able to get it done. So that'll wrap it up for us on the Bullet Points pregame show. I'm your host, Ty B, and Mike Bunn and Kevin Massari. Make sure you stay tuned at Bullet Points 716 for more updates throughout the game and throughout the season. Let's go Bulls.